Hi, and welcome to the Profitable Manufacturer. I am Annette Delancey. I am the owner of Cast Covers, a rock and fun manufacturing company based right here in the United States, as well as She Makes Products, where I help women product entrepreneurs break through revenue barriers profitably so they can grow and scale. And my co-host is Jason Snyder.
Again, Jason Snyder here, CEO of Aspire Advisors, Profit First consultant and coach in bookkeeping and fractional CFO work.
And I'm a Profit First certified professional, but Jason's a master. So we rely on Jason a lot. So today's topic is the 5-step process to make smart financial decisions. And I've used these in my own business. So why don't we just get started so you can rattle them. Hopefully you'll either remember them or you can write them down. And of course, all of the new research is coming out. If you write them down, you remember them better.
Yep.
So first of all, I'm a woman of faith, and so I have a great belief in higher power, God. And though you may or may not have that, I encourage you to look to something greater than yourself to help guide you, to ask for wisdom. So in my case, as a woman of faith, I look to God for wisdom. And one of my favorite Bible verses is Nehemiah 4:9, which is first pray to God, then do everything you can to protect the tower. So, of course, I interpret that as do everything humanly possible to do whatever it is. So it could be anything from personal in your life, somebody's injured or sick, or something in your business. So just make sure you bring in God first, bring in something greater than yourself first to give you that wisdom. So the second thing is, so that's kind of an overarching. And so really the first smart factor to consider when you're making a financial decision is, do you have the cash? Not a line of credit, not definitely not debting. So do you have the cash to pay for that? So in Profit First, we have these categories that help you make good business decisions. So for example, in manufacturing, you have COGS. And so what I do is I put money every 2 weeks, because I do my bookkeeping every 2 weeks. The bookkeeper does the bookkeeping every 2 weeks. And you take all the income that I've had and take a certain percentage and put it into my COGS account. Everything's paid out of there. So if something comes up that presents itself as an opportunity for COGS, then I definitely look at my COGS account and see if I have the money. Anything you want to add to that, on Jason, about Profit First and the COGS account, the categories?
Definitely helps making your financial decisions a lot easier. That's one of the great things about Profit First, the system, is making those decisions a lot quicker, easier, and also it gives you a trajectory around your decision making, you maybe how long it's going to take before you're able to realize that particular spend.
Mm-hmm.
So like one of them is clients of ours that are looking to expand, they're currently renting. They want to move to their own property. Well, they're probably going to need a down payment for, even if they go for an SBA loan or something like that, you need to have some capital to work from. And so getting that down payment ready to be able to move into that property, we want to start with that goal in mind, 1, 2, 3 years down the road,
Mm-hmm.
ahead of ourselves.
Yes, and that's very important. And we'll get into some other examples as we talk about these. The second second thing that you consider when you are making smart financial decisions is, do you have the time? Do you have the time to execute or to learn or do whatever it is? If you, for example, in Jason's example with his client, they're looking at having a new space, possibly buying it. Do they have the time, excuse me, to even look at buildings, to consider the overhaul of buildings, to do the remodeling of buildings? That's something that you have to look at and build into your calendar as well. If you're looking at a 3D printer, do you have the time to look at it? Does your staff, if they're going to do it, do they have the time? If not, you need to look at that as well. It's very important you look at the time, because we have a tendency to overschedule ourselves. And then we get the thing, and then before you know it, the thing is still sitting there 3 weeks later in a box. And it's like, wow, why did I have to get it then? And
Yeah.
FYI, for those of you who know about, oh shoot, I just forgot it, but it's a personality inventory. And if you're a quick start, like most CEOs and manufacturers are, because we just move very quickly, one way we satisfy that urge of wanting something is we just go out and buy it, and then it just sits there. And so we've taken action. And so I'm like 9.5 on a scale of 10 on Quick Start. So I have to really pay attention to that. So it's really important, if you've got this kind of obsession thinking about this 3D printer or truck or whatever it is, this new machine, this new fabricated machine that's going to do all the bells and whistles, really give it some thought about whether you have the time and the calendar.
And I would add to that, one way you can do that is if you practice calendarizing your activities and schedule, is look at your calendar before you're making a decision. If it's going to involve a big chunk of your time, and more importantly, if you're putting it on your team or you have somebody else who's going to execute, you need to talk with them, get them involved before you make a decision like that. Because you could, just like you're talking about, Annette, as have that thing sitting on the shelf, whether it's a coaching program, piece of equipment, whatever you're making that investment in, generally going to take some time for it to execute, whether it's yours or one of your team. So involve them if they're part of that, where you're going to delegate that. If it's yourself, look at your calendar and see if it's going to fit to be able to execute on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the test I was referring to, the personality test, is the Kolbe test, Kolbe. And it's a great test to determine for yourself as well as for your employees and see where everybody fits. But I'm a Quick Start 9.5. Actually, I'm not sure it's 9.5. It could be 9, could be 10, but all I know is it's way up there.
Wasn't 10.5?
Pardon?
Wasn't 10.5?
No, wasn't 10.5. Wasn't 10.5. I think I'm a 9 because I met a 10 and I'm in a coma compared to that woman. Unbelievable, the difference between a 9 and 10. It's like the Richter scale, a scale of if you get 7.0 on the earthquake to an 8.0, the difference is the same thing. Yeah. I'm a 9, she's a 10. That was it. Okay. So number 3 is can it, whatever it is that you want to purchase, can it be a used product? Can you get used? I know we like new shiny things and we get warranties with it, but can you get it used, whatever it is? Or can you be creative while you're either saving up for that new thing, or maybe you'll just use the Peterson principle in Profit First, which is the squeezing the toothpaste tube. When it's near empty, we can get everything out of it. And so try that. So example was a course. I was looking at a course and it was an expensive course and it was going to do different things for me in my future. And so I went through my process and I realized that I had taken the free course, signed up, subscribed for the free course quite a few months earlier. And it was quite a good free course, because sometimes free courses aren't worth anything. Now, this was really good. I don't think I got beyond module 2 out of 7. So if I had, it's because of time. And this is something that interests me. So in other words, what I said is, all right, Annette, you need to go back and go through the free course first. And then, then see if it's for you too. But that is an example of being creative and using the Peterson principle that we talk about all the time in Profit First. Jason?
Yeah, you described it very well. So it works with all of our clients that practice it.
Yeah, it does. And just so look and see what you can be creative about it. I know. We want to run out and get that really bright, shiny truck, especially if you do like decals and you want to put decals on that bright, shiny truck. Well, maybe you can get a truck that's 2 years old, still bright, shiny, and new, but just not as expensive. It's right off the lot. So hopefully that helps. Number 4 is, have you met your current financial obligations? Super important. How many times have we, all of us have done this, I'm sure, forgotten something that comes up annually? Oh, that's right. That kind of thing. Oh, and have you met all of your current financial obligations before you consider using this cash? And you want to make sure your taxes are fully funded. You want to make sure your retirement funds are fully funded. You want to make sure, and that means what you offer your employees too. You want to make sure everything is taken care of before you launch into this purchase.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. You want to cover what you've already obligated yourself to, because one of the things you can develop is a mindset where you can just skim by on things and keep doing that. So you don't want to start doing it from the beginning. So factor in those, and then if you want to get more sophisticated around it, do a 13-week cash flow forecast when you're going to be paying for certain things, inventory purchases, etc. Just because it's a working capital on your balance sheet doesn't mean it's cash in your bank account to cover those liabilities. They're not willing to take raw materials, finished product in lieu of cash. There's no barter out there these days. So make sure you have cash available for these things. Don't put yourself into a potentially negative situation by purchasing something that you're not going to be able to execute on right away, or that has more important priorities for your cash.
Yeah. Okay. And then one thing I wanted, so I started out with having something greater than yourself to gain wisdom. What I also want to do is talk about, we have a tendency to justify these decisions, and justifications can get really, really gnarly. They can really do a number in our head. And so, excuse me, how do you know if it's a justification or if it's real? Excuse me. Make sure we cut that. So how do we know if justifications are what they are, justifications, or if they really are real? And so a couple of ways to do that is, are you rationalizing? You can tell you're rationalizing or not. You can tell. You can feel it. Are you defending the situation? And I mean defend, like if somebody asks you, you just, oh, I'm going to buy it. That's kind of defensive. And then, so are you really defending it versus being aware and prudent about the decision? Does it counter your values? In other words, if you buy it and you go into debt, or you buy it and it does suck up all your cash, or you buy it and whatever it is counters your values, then you know it's not the right decision for you. Does it feel chaotic or messy? If it's feel like, I got to do this, I just know this is going to make a difference, that's chaotic. That is not thinking through the decision. And if it's effortless with ease, probably a good decision. If you're chaotic about it and like you just can't stop thinking about it, that's obsessive. There's a big difference between obsessive and rational thought. So any undercurrent of worry or anxiety or tension, fretting, dread, chaos, walk away, and recognize that there's also the fear of missing out, FOMO, fear of missing out. Woo-wee, I get that sometimes. To be able to go to a conference with my friends and see my fellow associates and colleagues. But if it's not in my category, I can't go. And I know I would rather be disappointed than resentful. Very important. And then, or even starstruck by marketing genius. We always get starstruck. Those of us, particularly that are marketing focused, get sucked in to the marketing. And I did that recently. I went on a site because I just wanted to check it out. And they asked me a question, and they asked me another question. By the third question, I said, I'll be darned. I'm not going to be able to see anything about this product until they get lots of information. This is fascinating. How are they doing this? And I went through the whole thing because I was fascinated with the way they were doing it. I canceled it, didn't do anything, never even gave them a credit card. But the point is look at how easily, even as a marketer, I got sucked into it because I just love marketing and I love watching how people do things. So hopefully those were helpful. Jason, do you want to add anything?
No, I think that covers it very well. It doesn't have to be too complicated. There's some simple principles we can operate under to be able to make decisions around them, especially like the one around your core values. Thinking of how you sort of at the top of the show of your reference point. And that's kind of a core value, if you will. So if you're willing to violate that, then there's probably going to be consequences down the road for that. Very good way of summing that up. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Oh, and our next episode, make sure you check that out too. It's the top 7 indicators of when your business is on life support. And you only need only one of the 7. And if you have more than that, well, we can help you because we're Profit First certified professionals, but hopefully you're not. But check it out. Check our next podcast. See you all later. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.